I am Ray, and if you don't become a warrior, you will never be able to complete your spiritual journey. And here's why. I mean, think about it. Think about your inner child for a moment. The part of you that's vulnerable. The part of you that's, I don't know what that word is. I think it's a G. Or a reverse D. Okay. It's the vulnerable part of you. The part of you that wants to be free. That wants to have fun. But think about a crab for a moment. If a crab was just naked, like Mr. Krabs is naked, cover your eyes, well then he's going to get eaten by a big seagull. Not Steven Seagal, but a seagull. I don't know, maybe Steven Seagal likes crabs. I don't know. I've never met him. But I heard he likes karate. Chop the crab in half. Doesn't need one of those, shell breaker thing. If you don't have a warrior to protect this inner child, it's not going to come out. Because it's going to be too afraid. And a big part of this spiritual journey is reconnecting to your inner child. That part of you that is already deep in spirit. That's already connected to God. And this is the big discovery I've made lately. Because, for example, in non-dual teachings, Eastern philosophy, there's this idea that I've talked about a lot on this channel that, well, the darkness and the light are equally important to the whole truth. And it's true. But I realized something. A spiritual trap. And you must forgive me because I've been speaking a lot in that spiritual trap. So you must be careful. Now I'm remedying my mistakes. What is that mistake? It's allowing darkness to proliferate in your life longer than it needs to, under the assumption that the darkness and the light are equally good. It's a spiritual bypassing trap. I have seen it. I have learned. Here is an example, right? Let's say you're struggling with an addiction. And you go on the spiritual journey and you realize that the spiritual aspect of the addiction is actually helping you on your spiritual journey. It's helping you grow spiritually. That's the point. It's not just here for you to just suffer miserably and then die. It's designed specifically for you. And if you can look at it that way, if you can realize that the darkness in your life is serving you, then you can overcome it. The only problem is we can have too much acceptance. Too much. Like a person in the comments said something the other day. It was about getting rid of the unloving parts of myself. Or the parts of myself that are unloving. Right? And it helped me frame it in a way that makes sense. And that is, if you have cancer, you can accept your cancer 100% in the moment. And also do everything in your power to get rid of it. And this is the key. On the non-dual path, with a lot of these spiritual teachings, we do not enter into this psychological drama of trying to get rid of things. Because God's creation is already perfect, life is already perfect, what is there to change or get rid of or to evolve or anything? If it's already perfect. The only problem is, well, then you just die of cancer because you don't do anything about it. It's like I was watching the spiritual teacher Satya Speaks, which is like one of the best spiritual teachers on YouTube. Check him out. And this is kind of where I got inspired of this video, because he was saying, we've lost that warrior spirit. We've lost the ability to fight for our own truth, for our own energy, for our own life. And that is why we suffer. And I think he made a point about India. Because India supposedly is the, spiritual capital of the world. But look at the people. Look how, on a worldly level, it's very messed up with the caste systems, and people are born into poverty and they never escape poverty, and they're happy in poverty because they have spirituality. You give up the world for the spiritual. But what happens? You end up just being a beggar on the streets. Because if you don't have that warrior spirit, you have no driving force to accomplish or do anything in this life. You're just accepting life as it is, just going with the flow, down the river we go. That's all. And a lot of Eastern teachers talk about renunciation. But where we've got it twisted is it's just there's so many traps on the spiritual journey that we have to overcome. And this is my latest one that I have overcome, and now I'm sharing it with you. Because I've been immersed, let's say, in the non-dual teachings, where I realize that, the good and the evil are both serving the good. What happened? The spiritual bypassing trap that I fell into was that I allowed the cancer to be there longer than it needed to be without doing anything about it. Because if life is perfect now, why do I feel the need to change anything? Why do I feel the need to get rid of the cancer if it's perfect? Now you might say, well, the cancer's not perfect. But if you're not awakened to the non-dual teachings, then you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. At least if you intellectually understand it, you can kind of get it. Because you see what is happening to me right now. Even though it sucks on the surface and there's suffering created, and there's pain involved, you can still take a step back, reflect, and realize that God has put this problem in your life to help you and not destroy you. Right? Which will be true if you see it that way. But where I took it too far is, and I'm not saying there was even ever a problem, or that I made any kind of mistake. It's just a new realization that I've made. And that is, you have all of these different parts of yourselves, especially the inner child. But if you do not allow your warrior spirit to protect yourself, then the forces of darkness come along and pollute everything. It's okay to have darkness. It's okay to have evil in you. We all do. It's not okay to sit by and allow it to destroy your life and the people around you. And that is what happens if you don't deal with the problems in your life. And it's like a lot of people after the spiritual awakening, they lose motivation. They lose desire for things. And there's a lot of reasons for this. And I talk a lot about, being is more important than doing. But the doing aspect is the warrior spirit. And you see, the mistake that we can make is we could say, just be. Just be all the time. Just be all the time. You don't need to do anything. Non-doership. You hear the non-duality? Advaita Vedanta teachings here? When in reality, sometimes you gotta do and strive and evolve and have a goal, set a plan, fulfill that goal, on to the next one. But if you're so heavily immersed in spirituality, you can easily just forgo the world and just go on the spiritual planes, forget about everything else. That's a choice that people make. But think about it. I heard another spiritual teacher say it one time. It's like, all these people talking about spirituality, but they're broke. Now that doesn't make any sense. Because spirituality and abundance is the same thing. False spirituality is rejecting the world for the so-called heavenly riches. True spirituality is embodying wholeness and balance. Meaning, on one level, you know how to just be. You can just be in the present moment. You don't need anything else. You don't need to do anything. You don't need anything. And at the same time, you can take massive action. You can have goals and dreams that you're striving toward. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the trap that we can fall into is, these things aren't spiritual. I don't want to do these things. It's all part of it. Everything is spiritual. There is no such thing as something not being spiritual. Because it's all one. It's just our own judgment. You see, we must realize the different roles that are being played. For example, the demons and the forces of evil and the forces of darkness. Their role is to awaken the world. Have you not heard of Lucifer, the light bringer? The reason this is because the suffering that the forces of evil create awaken you. So their whole purpose, they're doing their own thing in their own little worlds. They think they're, all powerful. I'm going to destroy the world. They're just like, silly. But what they're actually doing is helping to awaken the world. And on the same token, The role of the warrior is to destroy the forces of darkness and evil. So it's okay to have darkness in yourself. It's okay to have evil in you. But you also need that warrior to defend yourself from that evil, lest it poison everything in your life and destroy you. You have to have discernment. You have to say no. We have to return to that dual state. And that's the secret. It's not that non-duality is more spiritual than duality, which most people would probably say, like, yeah, non-duality is the most spiritual. It doesn't make any sense. They're just two opposites of the same coin. And this is the secret. You can get lost in the sauce over here real easy, but both roles must be played. You must be in the world, but not of the world. I like to think that only warriors can truly become kings or queens. And not being a warrior can cause jaded judgment. Being too detached from reality. Because, for example, to just be, that is embodying your king or queen nature. That is your royal nature, is just being. But the aspect of you that's doing things and achieving things and that's grinding and taking action, that is the warrior. And you have to have both of them. Because who's going to defend the kingdom? Who's going to defend the inner child? Someone's got to do it. And if you haven't awakened the warrior spirit in you, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, then the kingdom is vulnerable to the forces of the demonic. Now, if you have trouble with paradox, it's going to be kind of confusing because on one level, we want to realize, well, okay, non-dual, good and evil are both serving good, serving totality. But on another level, well, there's also this spiritual warfare going on between good and evil. Like, for example, if you're watching a movie, the two actors, the hero and the villain, are both in service to the movie, non-duality. But from the illusion, from the movie, they are pretending to be opposites. Make sense? Does that mean that we just, as actors, tell everyone on stage, hey, everyone, did you know that this is an illusion, that this play is not real, that this movie isn't real? And everyone's looking at you like, oh, yeah, we know that. How about you stop ruining this take? That's not your line. And that's the kind of game that's going on here. The evil guys are playing the role of the evil guys because that's their role. And the good guys are playing the role of the good guys. But at the end of the day, they're all serving wholeness. So the paradox is, on one level, we want to accept life as it is right now in this moment, no matter what is happening, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, no matter what stage you are on your spiritual journey. It's all perfect now. It's all okay. Everything's good. And at the same time, we play in that movie. You play your role as best as you can. And in fact, once you realize this, you can now play your role. Because if you think the movie is real and the T-Rex is chasing you, you're going to think a real T-Rex is chasing you when it's just a robot. It's not real. So you're going to be really afraid and you're going to live your life in fear and survival. Because you don't realize that you're acting in a movie. You think it's all real. You're a method actor. That's what most people are. But once you realize, oh, it's just a movie, now you can play your role just fine. So you, with your warrior sword, your sword of discernment, have to look at your life and cut away the things that are not serving you. Or should I say, the things that are poisoning every other aspect of your life. Because at the end of the day, everything is in service of you. Everything is serving you. But that doesn't mean that we should not just tolerate nonsense. We should not tolerate self-destructive behavior and addictions and negativity. Can we accept those things when they arise? Of course we can, and it's necessary. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we don't do anything about it. The active principle must be engaged. The warrior is the active principle. The king or the queen is the passive principle. because the king or queen is just sitting on the throne, giving orders. They're not doing anything. The warrior is the one who is doing everything. It's like Ramakrishna once said, when you first start cultivating spirituality, it's like a little tree, and for that little tree, you have to build a fence around it, or else the cows are going to come along and eat the tree and destroy your tree. Now, what does this mean? It means that your spirituality is vulnerable, and you have to protect it. And you can't allow other energies to come and pollute your energy, especially at the beginning stages. Once the tree is big enough, well, the cows can't eat it anymore. So it's not as big of a problem. It's not a problem at all. But in the beginning, you have to defend yourself. You have to put strong boundaries. You have to protect your energy until you have become comfortable and familiar in the spiritual, let's say, understanding. So you have to cultivate that part of yourself that says, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I don't want to do this. Or, oh, this is a problem. It needs to change. I need to do something about this. I need to stop doing this behavior. I need to stop thinking this way. Yes, on one level, we accept it in the present moment, but when it comes to time, past and future, we can still operate. It's not like we have to just get rid of the past and the future because we found that the only thing that matters is the present moment. It's all part of it. And that's the key. We're rejecting subconsciously certain things. And that is not being spiritual. Because in rejecting any one of the parts, you also reject the whole. And that even means rejecting the separation. Now everything's getting confusing. The warrior is the one who separates. That's why they carry swords. Slice your face. Whereas your true and divine nature is that which is already wholeness. And you see a big part of the spiritual journey, like in the beginning, what has happened is that we've become conditioned by the world. We've put ourselves in this little box, the prison of our own mind, like a monkey wearing a tuxedo. You are a monkey. Congratulations. And you're wearing a tuxedo and everyone's looking at you and saying, yeah, so cool, cool monkey. Wow. Taking pictures. And you're very uncomfortable. But because everyone's giving you a little bit of love, showing you some attention, you're like, okay, well, I'll keep the monkey suit on because that means people like me. We sacrifice our own authenticity to please others. And that is the source of all of our misery until we suffer so much and wake up and say, oh, I realized I'm wearing this tuxedo that's too tight. Let me rip it off. And that's basically the spiritual journey. You continue to take off that tuxedo one piece at a time. Get off of me until you become free once again. But think about it. There's an opposing force preventing you from taking off that tuxedo. And that force is, well, our survival instincts. The survival instincts that say, I want to fit in with others. I want to be socially accepted. I want people to love me. So I'm willing to wear this mask. I'm willing to not be my authentic true self so that I make other people comfortable. And when they're comfortable around me, that means they will love me. And so I will fit in even if I have to suffer. Because the moment you rip off that tuxedo and you're naked, well, everyone else is going to be looking at you like, who is this? Who do they think they are? I forget who said the quote. Maybe you can answer me in the comments. So I think it was a poet. Said something like, I came to the party of life with my real face, realizing that everyone else was wearing a mask, or something like that. I think the real quote is better. The point is, you will not be able to overcome those survival instincts unless you have that warrior protecting you, making you feel safe, making you feel like, oh, it's okay to take off the tuxedo. Because if anyone comes to you and tries to, say something about it, you'll be able to stand up for yourself. You'll be able to say, no, I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you think, because this is me. Screw you, people. I'm not wearing this tuxedo anymore because I'm a monkey and I shouldn't be wearing a tuxedo. And now I'm going to rip all of your faces right off for doing this to me. Jerks. You cannot be fully naked, fully free without also being able to defend yourself. You gotta set boundaries and say, well, no, I don't care what people think. I don't care what society has to say. I don't care what anyone has to say about me and my truth, because you don't know what's right for me. So I will stand up for my own truth, my own energy, my own life, whatever that means. And I will be unapologetic about it. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going to get. You stop being so spiritual, trying to, I got to get rid of all my desires because my desires aren't spiritual, they're earthly. Well, sometimes you want earthly things. Sometimes you want things that are not good for you. It's not about rejecting the world. It's about cultivating the power of discernment, seeing, you're using your discernment to realize what you actually want. Because oftentimes we think we want some kind of temporary pleasure. But it's only a quick fix. It's not really what we want. We want something deeper and more meaningful. But we cannot have the deep, meaningful truth and also have the meaningless temporary pleasures at the same time. There's not enough space in our life for both. That is why the warrior is so necessary. Because if you just go the path of least resistance, your life might just be filled with temporary pleasures. So the warrior has to come along and say, nope, you're dead. Nope, you're dead. Nope, you're dead. All of you are dead. Get out the swords of truth. And cut away all the things that don't serve you anymore. All the things that are keeping you from love, peace, joy, and abundance. All the temporary pleasures that aren't really fulfilling. You have to eventually come along and realize, oh no, this is unacceptable. That is the warrior. This is unacceptable. Think about the difference. In spiritual circles, we are taught to accept the present moment as it is. And yet we must at the same time judge things as unacceptable if they are. And not spiritually bypass and say, well, no, everything's perfect. Because you might just be lying to yourself because you heard some spiritual ideas one time and you think it's the truth, but the truth apparently is conflicting with your truth. And that's the key. You trust your own self. You trust your own truth, not the truth of what you heard online or from some book. I feel like the ultimate form of spirituality, the new religion, or I should say the religion of the new world, is a combination between Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy. Now, I'm overgeneralizing, but it's the balance between duality and non-duality. It's being able to play your role in this life while at the same time being non-attached. You don't want to be too non-attached because then you'll let your life go to poop. Because what does it matter? It doesn't matter. What does my surface level life matter? If I am striving toward heaven and all the heavenly riches. And hey, some people, that's their karma to go through. But for most people, what has to happen is, once you awaken to the non-dual nature of reality, after enlightenment, you chop wood and you carry water. But you see, it's never about one or the other. It's about this and that. So on one level, you want to accept life perfectly as it is in this moment, no matter what, because that is freedom from suffering. But at the same time, you can have the discernment to recognize this needs to change and this needs to change. And this part of me is no longer serving me, so I'm going to get rid of it. Just the same as if you had a terrible disease. You can accept yourself in this moment so you stop suffering. But at the same time, you're actively trying to get rid of that disease. Because if you just accept it and don't do anything about it, it can easily just kill you. But if you try and do a lot about it, but you haven't found acceptance, you're just going to suffer miserably the whole time. Both are required, and that is life. That is the true spiritual path. It's not in rejection of anything, not even the act of rejecting. So be careful of that spiritual trap, the trap of spiritual bypassing, because it's really easy. And once you become aware of it, it helps develop your power of discernment. Because what happens is that we experience the same problems over and over and over again, even after enlightenment, even after awakening. Because you, on the individual level, still exist. Even if you've awakened to your God nature. Just because you've awakened to your God nature doesn't mean you reject your mind, or your body, or this person, or this little individual life that you're going through. It's all spiritual. It's all right. It's all okay. Even in your striving to improve, to change. The ultimate philosophy of life. In Western society, we're all about grinding David Goggins. Not literally grinding David Goggins into a burger, but grinding like David Goggins. I don't think David Goggins would be a very tasty burger. Lean, for sure. But the problem is, it's a never-ending hamster wheel. It's just one mountain, then another mountain, then another mountain until you die. Never-ending struggle upward. Now, you don't want to be in that trap. Because it's miserably miserable. Samsara. But on the opposite perspective, you don't want to be so immersed and high, you don't want to be so immersed in spirituality and high that you become disconnected from reality, from the earth, and you just become a wandering beggar. Your spiritual inner riches may be flourishing, they may be flowering greatly, but you want to be able to do both. That is why Jesus said, be in the world, but not of the world. Did Jesus say that? I just assume that everything in the Bible Jesus said. So awaken to the warrior spirit within you. Because otherwise, that vulnerable, free, fun-loving child within you will not come out to play. And without that warrior spirit, we allow the demons to come and mess with that inner child. And destroy it and continue polluting it through our addictions and our self-destructive behavior and our negative thoughts and our negative judgments. The warrior comes along with its big sword and says, try it. Try it. Come on. Come on. See what you got. I'll destroy all of you. You kill the unloving parts of yourself. Because the unloving parts of yourself are polluting the parts of yourself that you love. It's like, the other day I hit a deer. Do I not put the deer out of its misery because I'm so immersed in non-violent spirituality? I'm a, what do they call them? Whatever Gandhi was. Oh, a pacifist. No, you just kill the deer, put it out of its misery. So too there are dead, rotting things within us that we have to remove from us. And sometimes on the spiritual journey, we are too tolerant. We're too accepting. And when you're too accepting and too tolerant, you allow the monsters to run amok. And that is what you see in today's societies. People are too accepting of things that are unacceptable. People are too tolerant of people who should not be tolerated. Now, I'm not saying you should be Hitler and mass destroy everyone. But I'm saying some things you have to stand up and say, no, that is unacceptable. I don't care how spiritual I think I am. My body is telling me this is wrong. But in the name of spirituality, I'm going to accept you because I have to accept everyone because that's what someone said on the internet one time. That's what the Holy Book says. It says I have to love everyone, right? Right? Even my enemies. You can have plenty of compassion and love for everything and also stand your ground. In fact, you cannot love without the warrior. Because without the warrior, you allow the unloving. You allow and tolerate that which destroys love. And that is why only warriors can be truly spiritual, because the warriors kill off that which is unloving, so that which is loving can flourish. And without the warrior, will we risk tolerating that which will lead us to destruction? So don't fall into that trap and awaken to the warrior within yourself. I am Ray. Visit my cool store. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be a warrior.